Yes, guys, I'm sorry. Welcome to Cardiff City World. Welcome to your South Wales Derby post-show reaction thing. Bit of a new thing. We don't normally do this soon after the game, but I got some stuff on, so it is what it is. We're going to talk about the game in a bit of detail for the next 45 minutes or so. So get your comments and your questions and your opinions in. First half was painful. Second half was better, but we'll talk about it. We seem to be intent in recent years on making Swansea look like prime Brazil. As my cat just pushed the lighting over. There you go. We seem like intent on making Swansea look like prime Brazil. Making Harry Daland, who's one of the worst footballers I've ever seen, look like prime prime Maldini by just giving him all the time in the world. Fair play to the Jacks. They, in the first half, they kept the ball while they were composed, but we just gave them so much time. It was frustrating to see because the way Errol Bullock wants to play football only works if you press. And if, in my opinion, I've been saying this for about a month or maybe even longer, a couple of months now, we always look better with a mobile striker than we do with a target man because they press. And we look so much better when we pressed. I felt sorry for Alex Robertson because he got brought off and he was trying to do a role which wasn't really suited to him. He wanted to go forwards, and you could see he was stopping himself because he was trying to hold his position and keep his shape. One thing I will say positive about the first half is when Swansea had a lot of the ball and they were pressing us and surrounding us and really putting the defenders under pressure on the ball, we didn't crumble. We didn't capitulate like we did against Burnley the other week. I thought Daland was outstanding. I've got to say, for a debut in that atmosphere, I thought he had a massive game, and he grew into it as well. I think Chambers looked a bit shaky at the start, but he grew into it and he was fine. But we just look like, as soon as you put Ruben Colwell on, we look better. As soon as you put Tanner on, and all right, El Ghazi didn't do a lot, but I thought just the threat of having him on made their fullbacks sit in a bit more because we had pace in the wide areas and we were pressing. Whereas that sort of first half, we just let them. We did it last year in the away game. We just let them walk up the pitch. And if you remember when I did the breakdown of last year's game at their place, one of my biggest gripes was that they walked out of their box with the ball and just walked up the pitch, and we didn't press them until they were 30 yards out from goal. And that's got to go. But it's weird that we drop in deep against Swansea more than any other team. And honestly now, right, I believe that if we had pressed like we had in the second half when we're chasing the goal, if we do that the whole game, it's a very different game. Because Swansea, they're not the Swansea of, years ago and your Martinez's and your Laudrups and that. They're not full of quality ball-playing footballers. They've got one or two real good players. Franco's a good player, Ronald, but then they've got some pretty average footballers on the ball. And if you put them under pressure, it has shown towards the end of the first half, as soon as we put them under a bit of pressure, as soon as we pressed a little bit, they give the ball away. So it is like, I'd be lying if I say I wasn't infuriated by that sort of first half performance. Didn't think we were that bad. I just thought we were pretty average, and I'll say it again, I've said it loads, but like Callum Robinson, for him to turn it around the way he has, and to me, I think he's been really unfortunate to not play because he was so good in pre-season. He's looked sharp when he's come on. Kanga just doesn't quite look fit. I actually think Kanga will come good. I think he showed glimpses again today where you're like, I can see something there. But to be honest with you, I was just happy that second half we just showed a bit of fight and a bit of balls, and the players looked like they actually wanted to compete, and they weren't. One thing you could say as well is, like, as I mentioned, that we didn't capitulate, but like they'd seemed very, very determined to not capitulate. I was real happy to see Perry NG have a good game. He wasn't great in the first 15, but he was all right. But after that, I thought he was pretty spot on. And he was a big part of our press and improving because he was getting tight and winning the ball. That's the Perry NG I want to see. And if that's the Perry NG we see, great, because he's been pretty shocking in the first 2 games. But he looked more like himself. Bit of shithousery at the end as well. Loving that. Shout out to Ruben Corwell as well for just letting Harry Daland know what it's like to be gripped by a strong man. It was no, Harry Daland, mate. Honestly, how does he not get booked before he got booked at the end? Like he's had a little, not a kick, but like he's give the keeper a little bit of a foot to the head. He's had numerous like the dives and stuff in the front half, first half. Referees just fall for it every time. Let's have a look at what you guys are talking about. We will have the breakdown is obviously normally Sunday. We will have that tomorrow, but it'll be pre-recorded because I'm taking my son back, so I won't be here. But I'll do a pre-recorded one tonight, and then I'll put it up for tomorrow, where we'll look at it in detail. But I'm just going to give my initial thoughts now. But DJ Outlook says Robinson looked sharp and class. Colwell ripped Daland's shirt. Robinson and Colwell have to start against Middlesbrough. Mate, they should be starting anyway. Let's be honest. I'm one of the biggest Aaron Ramsey fans out there. Like, I think I've said many times, if it wasn't for that leg break, he would have gone on and been one of the best midfielders in Europe in his prime. But he's not in his prime anymore, and I think as an impact sub might be his role as the season rolls on. Or, you know, he might get momentum and end up playing, but you know, he was obviously very determined to play today. Got 90 minutes in his legs as well, so that's a positive. But I didn't think he was great. I got to be honest. Can you imagine, like, in a game which isn't a derby, Robertson, Siopis, and Colwell is like so much energy and legs with Robinson in front. Like, that's a lot of legs and energy to press and win the ball up. That excites me. Good to see Al Ghazi get some minutes. You know, I know he didn't really get a chance to do much, but I thought he did make their right back sit back, and he'll come good. You know, he's got quality. CCFC 9874 says Daland, man of the match for me. Absolutely 100%. Shout out to Halworth as well. That must have been a horrible game for him, and our players as well, like firing back passes into him. Like, do I think Almec should probably play? Yeah, I do, because I think he's way better with his feet. But that would have been an uncomfortable day for Halworth, even with a goal. Like, he makes a wicked save, and we're a bit slow to react. But then this is the risk you play. Like, I don't want to blame Callum O'Dowda, but playing a left winger as a left back hasn't got that defensive instinct to get the rebound. So it is what it is. Reese Lasky says Ruben Cole should be the first name on a team sheet. How isn't he? You know, it's difficult to not agree, mate. Like, all last season in the second half, particularly second half of last season, and I said it time and time again, we look better with him in the side than we do without him in the side. And I thought that was the same again today. And look, I know you can say it's easier for the subs because people are tired. Again, we look better with pace in the wings. We look better with a mobile striker who presses and gets around and runs in behind. And we look better with Ruben Colwell inside. I thought Siopis was a big part of us in the second half, up in the tempo and getting stuck in. He was everywhere, putting himself about. And that was what was frustrating in that first half an hour, was we just gave him so much time, and it felt like we weren't laying a glove. We just wanted someone to go steaming in and just, you know, take a booking, just do something. It was far too easy for Swansea. And I'll say it again, and this isn't just like an anti-Swansea thing. I think they've got one, maybe three out-and-out quality players, and then the rest, I think, are relatively average. And I think there's certain ones who are on the ball. If you put them under pressure, they capitulate. And like Harry Daland's one of them. Every time we put him under pressure, he gave the ball away. And it's like, why aren't you doing that more? GJ says, surprised we had 90 minutes plus from Ramsey, but he should have come off for Colwell. Daland is the centre-back version of Haaland. Yeah, it'll be interesting, mate, when Fish is fit. Still say that 3-4-3 system works best for the players we got. But and I tell you what as well, right? How has Errol Bullock got sent off for that? It's mental. Like, he was clearly saying when the guys tried to grab a ball off him, he's got a head injury. But I can't see Al Ghazi starting against Middlesbrough, mate. I don't think. I just don't think he'll be fit enough to start. But then maybe he does what he does with Robinson, gives him an hour. I do like him. I like Willock. I feel a bit sorry for Willock today because he was a bit isolated. So he ended up with like 2-3 on 1. It's difficult. It's a derby. It's a very difficult thing to manage. Al Ghazi, yeah, he won a couple of corners, ran the line, and his presence just caused them a problem. Same as when Ruben come on, they knew of his dangers and they just dropped a bit deeper. Ollie Tanner, absolute. I nearly said massive swear word, but we're a bit early for like. He was absolute terrible against Sunderland, and since then, his attitude, his body language, and his performances have been top tier. That's the Ollie Tanner I want to see. That is the Ollie Tanner I want to see. Direct, attacking, isolate the fullback. And because of the system we play and the way we play, if you keep him high and wide, he will be one-on-one with the striker, like with the fullback, all the time. He's got the pace, and he got his head up. Great finish, got his head up. And again, the keeper they've got is he was a second choice keeper for the last couple of seasons. They didn't test him enough. But I'm just happy that, when you go 1-0 down after 10 minutes, after 2 poor results, particularly that Burnley second half, you do wonder, are we going to capitulate again? But Daland, Chambers, NG, and like Callum O'Dowd had a bit of an off day, if I'm being honest, but he didn't, he gets stuck in and he'll keep going and going. Big fan of him, and he's playing out of position. He's not a left back by any means. I said before the game to the boys in the Cardiff City World Chat, got a real deep bench of creativity and attacking players. I still, honestly, I don't know what Mate offers. I don't know why he starts, and I don't know what Bullet is. In my opinion, Errol Bullet has to get away from his favourites. I was happy to see Gutas. I said he had to either be moved to the right hand side or he had to be dropped. And look, the manager, fair play. People keep telling me he won't drop Psyopis and he won't drop Gutas. I think he will if it's the right game, the right options. And I think looking at that performance with Fish to come in as well, you wonder how much game time Gutas will get overall. But he's 31. He's coming in to the last year of his contract. He was there to stabilise the ship for Bullet, and now Bullet's moving towards younger, more mobile, fitter players. Daland, what a player he is, man. He's a big boy as well. Good on the ball, good on the feet. And by the way, he should have had a free kick when he done that little 360 pirouette. What's it called? Oh, it's going to bug me. But he goes, he does it, and Aidan, you there? Mm-hmm. What's the trick called when you go around in a circle on the ball? Mm-hmm. Is it a roulette? No, not a roulette. No. Like when a footballer goes and you stand on it and you spin on the ball. Yeah. Roulette, there you go. Because that was the information that we needed. Absolutely. But yeah, when he does that roulette, he should have had a free kick. He was blocked. And by the way, we should have had, I thought, a penalty in the first half. One of the corners comes across and the ref's looking at it and he's told them just before to stop grabbing. And then one of them has got Chambers with his shirt over his head and he's pulling him off balance. Another one's got, I think it's probably Daland off. And it's come on, you just told him, you've got to do it. Paul says Daland was immense. As you say, Ruben, Robbo, Colwell, El Ghazi, they chased them down. They gave Swans more problems. That's from the start of the game. It's a different game altogether. Look, when he picked that, when the side came out today, I wasn't massively disappointed. My big worry was what midfield he was going to pick because I had a nagging feeling that he might pick Rinamoto, and I wanted to see Robertson. I thought Robertson was tidy. I thought he did all right. He'll get better as he gets fitter. He's coming back from a long-term injury, so it's going to take him time, and it's also hard to, derby and stuff. I thought he was pretty tidy, and I think he will only get better. And I think if we can find a way to get Ruben in front of him, and people I saw some people moaning about Psyopis, he's the one who's snapping at people's ankles. And you imagine if you didn't have Sliopis in that side today, both halves. No one's laying a tackle in. And he was him and NG were a massive part of us pressing in the start of the second half. And then obviously Robinson, Colwell, the rest, Tanner. Tanner was very, very good. He looked dangerous every time he had the ball. Got that bit of shithousery around him as well. Although only Cardiff fans could nearly slash open their own player's leg celebrating. But there we go. We'll let it go. We'll go through the players now and we'll give them a bit of a rating. Be a bit of a new thing. DJ says the thing is, the rule is managers cannot hold on to the ball. But I think on appeal, he'll say that it is he thought he had a head injury and he didn't want him to play. But I suppose is what it is. Says Tanner's becoming a cult hero for his performances against the Jacks. Got to do it in other games though, mate. That's my biggest criticism. Reese says, Mate hasn't produced an assist for us yet, but I don't think absolute waste of hasn't produced an assist for us yet. I don't think absolute waste of a position. Yeah, I just don't know what he is, mate. And on the right, for me, he offers nothing going forward and nothing going back. He doesn't protect NG, but he also doesn't get in behind. He can't beat a man because he's not pacey enough. He works hard, but most of those players worked hard today. But let me put this question to you. If we start with Tanner on the right, Robinson through the middle, and Colwell in the 10, hypothetically, just say Ramsey's on the bench. We'll leave Willock there because, fine. And we remove Mate out of there. Do you think the game looks different? I do, simply from a press, because I felt the biggest issue in the first half was our pressing was poor. Now, I'm not saying we should have done just gone all out pressing everywhere. I could see why he was trying to keep a bit of shape, make sure we didn't capitulate, make it difficult to play through. But we weren't difficult to play through. And every time we did put them under pressure in the back areas or the forward areas for us, we looked like we were going to win the ball every time. Their keeper gave the ball away a couple of times. But we get punished for mistakes. And when O'Dowd passed that ball across in the second half when he takes the free kick, I thought, oh no, we're going to get punished again now for mistake. But all in all, no, I wouldn't say I was happy, but happier with the second. And I still say from every game, it's like we're building up. First game against Sunderland, 15 minutes, we were good. And by the way, they're top of the league now. They beat Burnley, which puts in a whole different spin on that game. Burnley, half an hour, we're really good, really good. Second half against Bristol Rovers, probably the last half hour, we were good. We're getting more. Like today, I thought we were good second half. And the last 5 minutes of the first half, in fairness. So you're building up. And I said this week on Twitter, when it all clicks, when everyone's fit and everyone's up to speed and everyone's match fit, it will click. And when it clicks, it will be glorious. And we will give someone an absolute tuning. But when we play like we did in the first half, which was very reminiscent of last year or last season, it doesn't matter. We could have Mbappe up front. We could have prime Ronaldo 9 up front, and we wouldn't create a chance because we don't press. There's no urgency. We just seem to be happy sitting in. And then the second half, or towards the end of the first half, we start pressing. We win the ball back. We create a couple of chances. That Kanga shot inches from going in. He bags that in the top corner. Again, it's a different game, of course, but for him, it gives him confidence. He just needs a goal maybe to get him going. Paul says, all in all, I think going forward, we need to chase down from the front. First half, we were just watching the Jacks bring it 40 yards before we did anything. Yeah, it's my biggest gripe because we look good when we press. Reece says we need to drop the inverted wingers and let them cross into the... Yeah, it's on a stronger foot. I agree, mate. I would have, today, for instance, I would have put Willock on the right and I would have put Tanner or whoever on the left. I just think we got to, as fans this year, we've got to be a bit patient. Let him get everyone up to speed. Minutes in the legs of Al-Ghazi today is good because he hasn't had a pre-season. He hasn't played for ages. It's going to take him time to get up to speed. I don't think he starts in the next game, but he might. He might look at it and think, right, I'm going to give you an hour. Just give me what you got. Hopefully Robertson now has played an hour again now, a second hour now he's played. So hopefully he will start again against Middlesbrough. I think it's vital he starts because he gives us a bit of legs in the midfield. Thought it was weird that Siopis played on the right a lot of the two, but maybe Robertson's got a preference. So another thing I wanted to discuss was so in pre-season, Aaron Ramsey had played deep a little bit in the pre-season, and people had been panicking that he was going to try and play him as an 8. And then today in the second half, he dropped deep and he did get on the ball a little bit more, but he also left big gaps behind him where he wasn't able to get back where we're chasing a goal. But Siopis will kind of sweep up, and if worse comes to worse, Siopis will bring someone down. I think as we get people fit, that will only get better because we'll play a higher line, so we'll close that sort of space. I think with Ramsey deep, I think he can do it late in games when there's tired legs and people aren't going to overrun it. Chris says Cyprus won the ball a couple of times, but immediately gave the ball away. I think that was more in the first half, and a lot of the time that was because there was lack of movement and options. But I accept one of the things he's got to get better at is his distribution. But I don't need him to play these 40-yard diagonals. I know when he came here, that was definitely a trait of his game, was like a diagonal ball in the transition to the wingers. I don't need him to do that with the players we've got now. Like, just win the ball back, give it to Chambers, Daland, give it to Robertson, give it to Ramsey or Colwell or whoever. Like, give it to those players. I don't need him to be a ball playing midfielder. I just want him to sit in front of a defence and break up play and sweep up. When the number 8 goes further forward, just sweep up after him. When the fullbacks get caught upfield, sweep up across, go across. So for me, Siopis, the more we get people fit, I think the more he'll be effective because he'll just become that sort of out and out defensive. Yeah, I think it was difficult. Like, so Chris says that he also, not just his distribution, he turned into trouble. A couple of them did that, but I also think it's hard when you've got 3-4 players pressing one player, and there was no So here's the thing, right, with the Swansea press in the first half, in my opinion, is they were all over us like a rash, and they're pressing in like 3s and 4s on one player. And I think if we'd had a bit more composure and speed of pass, you can play through that because they're committing 3-4 players to one, like chasing the ball. So if you can move it quickly with a couple of passes and then switch it to the other side, they're all out of position. There was no shape to the way they were pressing. It was like group pressing, which, I know like cheap managers like Klopp and stuff like that, they've managed to do that, like Gengen pressing or whatever they call it. But like Swansea aren't, prime Dortmund or Liverpool or whatever. They're not. We just needed a bit more composure, but also I think we need to move the ball a bit quicker sometimes. I felt here again, I said why we firing the ball into Ethan Howworth when he's had a mistake like he had last week is wild to me, like wild. But we'll see now. I still think Alnwick's so much better with his feet. Reece says, we said last year we beat Huddersfield 4-0 and didn't see anything similar for the rest of the season. I hope you're right, Si, but I don't see it. I see a man making the same mistakes. Well, he dropped Gutas today, which I think a lot of people said he wouldn't. I think that's a good start. The players, the profile of play, all the players we've brought in are better than the players that we had, whether it's loans last year or the players at the club now. They're all starters, all of them. I'm trying to think if there's an exception. Maybe Kanga at the moment isn't a starter. That's the only one. Robertson should start. Fish should start when he's fit. El Ghazi should start when he's fit. Daland should definitely start. Chambers obviously starts. Willock, I think, probably starts. So, like, the quality that's come in is definitely there. We just have to play. We have to move the ball quicker. And when we do move the ball, there's got to be people moving off the ball. Second half, we had that. You've got Tanner, El Ghazi, Ruben, Robinson. They all want the ball and they're all moving. And if the ball doesn't come, they recycle their movement and move again. Too often in the first half, the movement off the ball is very languid. It's like they drop into a space, they kind of half want it, but they don't really want it. They're just pretending they want it, almost hiding a little bit. And second half we didn't. We had players who wanted the ball. Paul says Ramsey dropping back second half worked and the legs up front closing down was far better. Yeah, and I think that one of the issues is, regardless of whether Ramsey's playing well or not, is he hasn't got the legs to press. So if Kanga goes, or the wingers in Kanga go, like, he hasn't got the legs to go in. And if you noticed in the first half, when we did start pressing and we did start winning the ball, Kanga called Robertson up and Robertson filled the hole and he won the ball back straight away. But I also don't want to see Robertson in the 10. He has to play as an 8. So it's kind of a double-edged sword. And I'm not one of these who's like calling for Aaron Ramsey to be dropped. I just think we have to look at, we either have to look at the system we're trying to do, or we have to look at where he's going to play, because at the moment we're not getting the best out of him ultimately. And I would say, I'm sure he would be the first one to say he's not playing to the usual standards that he set. So yeah, like Ramsey, I think, you know, it's a tough one. It is a tough one. I didn't think he was terrible, but I didn't think he was good either. As I say, we'll go through the squad in just a second. James says we tried to pass it from the back and then run into trouble, end up lumping it forward anyway. Yeah, I think we just need to move it a bit quicker, because a few times where we've got it at the back, Siopis and Robertson were on for balls where they could just turn, but instead we kind of go back to the keeper or we go sideways and then we do it. And I just think we struggle a little bit then. When we move the ball quicker, we get play through press. And like I said, the way Swansea were pressing, it only would have taken one or two quick passes and we would have been through it and they would have had players out of the game. So I can see what you're saying, like, it's frustrating to me. Paul says we should use Ramsey as the quarterback, leaving the runners to close down defenders. I feel that would be better for those up front. It's difficult though, isn't it? Because if you play Ramsey, say, in the 2 alongside, say, Siopis, do you not have the same complaints that you have with Rawls? That you haven't got the legs in the midfield area to go win the ball back. And again, this is why I think we should play 3 at the back, because you can play your 3 centre backs, then you can have your 2 wing backs and your 2 midfielders, and then play 2 people off the striker, and you can kind of create overloads in the middle. Defensively, you're very solid, but also you can allow for a big group press because you've got solidity behind you, and if they do get in behind you, you force them out wide because of your shape. So I wondered if he would do it. I did a video on it in pre-season. I thought that he might use it now and again, because he clearly doesn't mind it. He uses it in the EFL Cup. He used it in Turkey. Whether he's maybe like, I'm still not sure what we're doing with these centre backs. Like, we've got 4 centre backs who are going to want to play now with Fish coming in. Also got a highly rated youngster in Fagan Walcott. If we switch to 3, all right, that obviously opens up a further option. But then can Perry NG play as wing back? I don't think he can. I think you'd be better playing one of the younger lads for the pace and the legs, which then does like on today's performance from Perry NG. I wouldn't want to drop him after the first 2 games. Probably would have had a different answer. But we look better with pace in the wide areas. Perry NG still, he doesn't overlap. And I mean, in fairness, Daland didn't overlap today. He didn't get that far forward. He carried the ball up a few times up the left-hand side, but he never really overlapped. Willock looked really isolated and just couldn't quite get on the ball. So it was, I felt a bit sorry for Willock because he just couldn't get on the ball. And when he did, he tried a few things. He just got outnumbered. So it was unfortunate. So yeah, all in all, look, it's a point. It's the first point of the season, first goal from open play, first goal. I thought that it was a very, very good goal. Great ball by Ruben after Perry NG wins the ball back, I think, off memory. Ruben slips a good ball up to Tanner. Tanner's got the pace of the winger, gets his head up, lays it back. Robinson with a lovely composed finish and left people with no chance. And at that point, I thought that we could go, we could really push on and go and win the game. But there was a few like injuries and stoppages stopped that momentum a little bit. But let's go through the team and see let's give them a rating out of 10 because it's been a while since we had a decent result away from over Swansea, and I think we don't normally have a match directly after the game, so I want to give a little match ratings. Obviously, it's just my opinion. People can agree, disagree. I'm going to try and be as harsh as possible and give a reason for each one. At least I would if my scalp was low, but not. But yeah, what did you think? You give me your rating to the players and tell me what you thought. So we'll start with Halworth. I didn't think he did anything wrong, but I didn't think he was great with his feet. He put the ball out a couple of times and stuff like that. It's creating a problem because I believe that players aren't stupid and they know that. Look, players know who the better keeper is. They'll know they'll have a preference over who they prefer playing in front of. And to me, it's a weird one because I understand the manager wants he wants his guy in goal. He wants a guy he can trust. But to me, can he trust him? I'm not sure he can, because he does make errors. But I thought he did all right. I would give him a solid 5.5, 6. Like, he didn't do anything wrong, but I didn't think he was particularly good either. Perry NG recovered well after a bit of a shaky start, but I thought he was really, really good the last 20 minutes of the first half. And then the second half, I thought he was a big part of how we got back into the game with our pressing and stuff like that. So I'm going to give Perry a 7 out of 10, maybe even a 7.5 actually, because I thought he was pretty good. Perry NG 7.5. Callum Chambers. I thought Chambers very nervous at the start. Gave the ball away a couple of times, but I thought he was really good after that. So I'm going to give him a 7. Excuse me. And Halworth makes some good saves as well. It's just with his feet, he's like heart in your mouth stuff. He fumbled a couple of crosses. He just doesn't look secure. He's bound to be nervous after last week in a derby as well, and I thought he dealt with those nerves pretty well. Daland, in my opinion, man of the match, probably the best player on the park. Going to go with a big 8.5 there. He didn't put a foot wrong. Actually, no, I'm changing that. I'm going to give Daland a 9 because I thought he was exceptional. And I think he's going to be a massive player for us. I think, do you know what's weird, right? After this season, first 3 games of the season, we looked defensively, looked a bit ropey. But I actually think defensively is going to be, I think we're going to be super solid as the season goes on. Daland, Fish, Chambers, Gutas, and G. You know, we need a left back, in my opinion. But he's not going to play the youngsters. So, Psyopis, I'm going to give him a 6.5. I thought he was 6.5. I thought he didn't particularly, he wasn't bad, but I thought he was also a big part of us being good in the second half. But I thought first half he was a little bit sloppy, so I give it 6.5 there. Robertson, I thought clean, tidy, decent, difficult game to come into. I'd go with a 6 there. Thought he was all right, and I think he shows some good touches, and I think once he gets fully up to speed and fit and used to playing with people, I think he'll be a massive asset. It's a difficult game to play his first game in midfield. Ramsey, Aaron Ramsey. Thought he was. I'd go like 5.5. Didn't think he was great, to be honest. Mate, yeah, as we discussed, Mate, I'm just not quite sure what he offers. Like, he works hard, but everyone works hard. So I'm going to go with I don't know, 5. Probably being generous. I thought he was quite poor. It's not to slate the players. It's just I think most people sort of didn't expect him to start or hoped he wouldn't start. Willock, felt really sorry for Chris Willock. Very isolated, but in reality didn't do much. But he did offer more than Mate, so I'll give him a 6. And Kanga showed glimpses, isolated. But he did try, he was trying to get the other players up the pitch to start press, but didn't realistically get much opportunities. Nearly scored a good goal. Again, glimpses, so I'll give him a 6. And then we move on to the substitutes. So first and foremost, you've got Ruben Colwell. I don't know, 7.5, 8. Pretty big part of the game changing. I'll go with a 7.5. Don't want to be too generous. 7.5, but I thought he'd change the game straight away. The second he came on, we looked better. Ollie Tanner, 7.5. Direct, quick, pacey. You didn't give the ball away, didn't make bad decisions. Got it as fullback. And maybe I'm harsh on Colwell, and maybe he deserved an 8, but 7.5 again. I thought him and Tanner were excellent. Who else came on? El Ghazi. I give El Ghazi like 6.5, 7. Yeah, I give El Ghazi a 7. Won a few corners, but him just being there, I think, caused a few issues. So we'll give El Ghazi a 7. Callum Robertson, very good. Very, very good. I give him an 8. Callum Robertson should be starting. And I think, to be honest with you, against Middlesbrough, I would start Tanner, Robinson, Colwell. I think you've got to find a place for Colwell, even if you have to play him off the left. Because what you could do with Ruben is you could play him off the left because I doubt it does get forward. So you can give him a bit of like they did in pre-season against Reading. Play him off the left, but let him wander. Let him go into the 10. Because Ramsey then drops a little bit deeper. If he's going to play Ramsey, then I'd play Ruben off the left. But then it's harsh on Willock because I thought Willock, whilst he didn't do a lot today, he's been pretty good in this season. And it's difficult, isn't it? But we have got, we're starting to, as these players get fit, we're going to have a deep squad. Could he have put Keane Ashford on at some point? I'm not sure who you would have taken off unless you were going to really go for it and play two up top. But he doesn't seem to like doing that, does he? Just now, literally just straight after the game, how I feel, and it's without really because obviously when I do the Borough preview, I'll do a bit of research into how they're playing and what they're looking at and stuff like this. But my emotions tell me now that I would start with Robinson up top. I would start with Ollie Tanner on one side, Willock on the left, with Ruben in the 10, and then for me, Robertson has to start, and then you have to decide who plays alongside him depending on the opponent. I know we got an EFL Cup game against Southampton, but I'm talking league fixtures. And I think you can have Rawls or Ramsey play instead of Siopis and be the deepest midfielder against certain teams, but you've got to look at who they've got in the midfield areas. Have they got a lot of athleticism and speed and legs? If they haven't, then you can get away with it a bit. But if they do, then you probably need Siopis in there alongside. Chris Jones says, don't find a place for Colwell, play him where he should be, number 10. No, I agree. I do agree. I don't think he's going to drop Rawls and Ramsey. And for me, it is absolutely vital that Alex Robertson plays because he gives us the legs at the midfield. Excuse me. I understand that people will look at today and think, well, he didn't do that much, but I agree. Ruben's got to start. He looks fitter this year as well. He looks more capable of playing back-to-back games and 90 minutes. And I also think if you had Ruben play 60, 70 minutes and then bring Ramsey on with 15 minutes to go, if you need to control the game, great. He's a good player to have. If you need to create something, he's a good player to have. And maybe Ramsey can create more and Ramsey will get more out of it against tired players than he is at his age playing against fit players who are all chomping at the bit and athletic. And, nobody can beat Father Time. It's not a knock on him whatsoever, not a knock on Joe Rawls whatsoever. They're both going to be vital players for us this year. At the moment, should they be starting? If I'm being honest, I don't think they should. I do think some games we'll play Siopis. We'll play Siopis, and then some games we'll play Rawls in the 6 with Robertson. And I think that will work quite well. Rawls will play like the Steve McPhail role. Or modern day fans, the Frankie de Jong role, where you're defensive midfielder, but you're more about interceptions and ball playing than you are tackles and pressing, and it's about how you read the game and use the ball. And I mean, Ramsey can do that, like someone mentioned earlier, playing him in the quarterback role. It was good to see a bit of fight and a bit of passion and a bit of they didn't give up. We scored a really, really good goal as well, and I think that shouldn't go unmissed either. When Siopis does that shot off Ruben, when he lays it off for him, Ruben made the wrong choice there. He should have played it to Robinson, or he should have taken the shot earlier. The most important thing which I take out of this game, and I was saying it last week as well, Errol Buller has to pick people on form, not pick who he trusts or who his favourites are or whatever you want to describe it as. Pick players on form. So if Ruben gets a couple of starts and he does good, keep him in there. And then if he starts to fade, then and Ramsey's doing good in training and off the bench, put Ramsey back in. If Daland and Chambers are playing and one of them struggling, put Fish in there or put Gutas in there. As long as Gutas isn't on the left-hand side of the central defence, it's fine. and that includes the keeper. Like, to me, if I'm Alnwick, I'm asking myself, like, what the hell do I have to do to get a game? But it'll be interesting what side we pick against Southampton, because that's going to be a tough game. But I think we might see the three at the back again, like we have done in the EFL Cup. I wonder. I don't think Will Fish is going to be available, but if he was, I would expect him to play. Gutas will probably play, and probably one of them, maybe Fagan Walcott, maybe Daland if he needs a bit of time. And then I'd like to see three at the back with a young foot. I'd like to see either K-Pacquiao or Conte on the right, and then Giles on the left as wing backs against Southampton, and really try and utilise their pace, get on the ball, get Robertson some more minutes. Just reading, Pan put in the group that he says you have to start Robinson, Willock, and get a striker in before Borough. Mate and Ramsey, very average, as was Chambers. Kanga was nowhere. I think that's harsh on Kanga. I think he was just isolated, and you saw like little glimpses. I also think I wouldn't play Robertson wide. I would play Robertson through the middle. And I also I slightly disagree with some people. People say we need a striker. I think that what we'll do is we look better with a mobile striker. So, I mean, the striker I said we should have signed at the start of the window was El Hamidi, because I think he ticks all the boxes. He's big, he's strong, he's mobile, he can finish, he scores goals, he can link up play, he can get in behind, he can do kind of everything. So I think it's, to me, there's a no-brainer. And I think Ipswich have signing or trying to sign Brozier as well. Yeah, right. Like everyone's saying, Robinson's got to be starting for me. Like, absolutely has to start in the central attacking role. We look better. We look better with a mobile striker rather than a target man, because we press better, and we look better because they run the channels, they run in behind, they come short, they go long. It just gives more options. So for me, it's like a no-brainer to play that more mobile striker. And do you know what? If you play Ruben in the 10, you can also get away with playing a smaller striker, because Ruben's a unit. So as long as he's close to the striker, you can use him a bit like that. Paul says Kangas needs fitness, so and to understand why Bullock's playing, but that is like a player short up front because he's not chasing ball down. Yeah, well, this is the thing. In the first half, like Kanga and Ramsey just weren't pressing at all. They were just stood as a two, and we were just going into like a 4-4-2 shape, and they were both just out of the game. It was only when Alex Robertson pushed up and the wingers pushed up that we started to win the ball back at the end of the first half. But every time we pressed, we just looked like winning the ball. Whereas Swansea, we just made them look much better than what they are. I really believe that. Like, Harry Daland is not good on the ball, but we make him look like prime Maldini because we just give him so much time. He falls over every time you go near him. Shit house. But there we go. First point of the season, and they've got to build it. What you could see from the players is you could see that they were happy. You could see that there's definitely togetherness in that group. You could see it, and I think they have to build on that now and build confidence. And to be honest with you, as much as the EFL Cup is worthless, a good cup run is a way to build confidence. So for me, I think I would play a mixture of youth and strong players. Like, I would play Robertson, get him fit. Gutas I would play. And then I'd play the young fullbacks. I'd give make sure Kean Ashford gets a run out. And then we kind of go from there. Really, if you get a good result against Southampton, there's more confidence. You go into that Borough game. Borough do not look the same side at the moment that they were last year. or they have been for the last couple of years, they look a bit shaky. So now's the time to play them. And if we can go into that after beating Southampton in the cup, all the better. All the better. It's all about building confidence, building performances, and just getting there more and more. And I think it's, again, without getting carried away, because I think on paper we look great. We look like we've got a really strong squad, but we're only putting performances in patches at the moment. We're good in patches. We've been good in patches for all the games. So what we need to do is we need to build on that, build confidence and build a run. And then as the players come back and get match fit, we're going to have a real strong squad. There's going to be some big names left out of the squads, by the way. When you look at how many players we've got, it's going to be interesting who doesn't make the squad and who does. Because if you think, we're probably, I think, going to bring at least another one in. I think we'll probably bring another 3 in. So James says, which wing does El Ghazi play on? So he obviously played off the left today, but I thought he played off the right, but I might be wrong. I think he could play either. But I was interested to see Bullet say he can play through the middle as well as a number 9, which is another option. Would have thought it would be more as like a false 9, which again, I think that could work for us if you've got Ruben there running beyond. Keane Ashford, I think. Yeah, I'd play Keane Ashford in the Southampton game for sure. But we've got a lot of versatile players who can play like a few different positions, which is handy, you know. I do think we get at least another. I think we get another 3 in. I do, including loans. I think we'll get a striker, a left back, and I think we'll get another midfielder as well. I think, and this is why I think when some people are calling for the manager's head and saying he needs to go, it's wild to me, because you're getting all these players, he's getting these players he wants. So let's now allow him to bed them in and play with his team instead of a team he inherited, or which is full of frees and loans. Let's let him play with his players and see what he does. We've seen it in glimpses, but let's see how he does when he's got his players and doing. Paul says, NG going or staying? I think he stays. I did say yesterday, I'm not going to comment on it, but if he plays like he did today, mate, then I hope he stays. That's about as much as I'll give you. We'll see how he goes. At the moment, he's a Cardiff City player, and going by today, he's committed to it, and he's playing for the manager, he's playing for the club, he's playing for the team, and that's all you can ask. People the players getting behind the manager, playing for the badge. That's all you can ask. And I thought they did that today. And after 10 minutes, I was worried that we might end up capitulating again, and we didn't. So you've got to give the players credit for that. They stuck with it and then did a good job of getting back into the game. And I think the thing which done us in the end, ironically, or not ironically, I suppose, but what actually, when we scored, I thought we were going to go on and win it. But what actually ended up catching it or costing us was there was about 3 or 4 stoppages in play straight after we scored. And it just slowed down the momentum and let them calm down a little bit. Whereas after the goal, for a few minutes, they looked all over the place. And they were giving the ball away. And they looked very uncomposed in the second half, Swansea did. And it does make you wonder what we could have done if we had got at them a bit in the first half and actually pressed instead of just giving them time to bed in and get used to the game and settle into the game. It does make you wonder, like, what we could do if we just got at them the way they get at us early. But it is what it is. It's done. You've got to move on. It's a point. And I really believe that if we can get a positive result in the next 2 games, Southampton and Middlesbrough, you can go into that international break feeling pretty good because things are starting to come together. And look, let's take the positives from it. Ruben Colwell was good again. Robinson was very good. Tanner was good. El Ghazi showed glimpses. Robertson was nice and tidy. Daland, best player on the pitch. So these are all positives to take. agree with what everyone is saying about Howard. I agree Alnwick will play. And it'll take, ultimately the manager's going to have to make a decision. What Alnwick needs to do is get his head down and make sure when he does get an opportunity, probably against Southampton, that he has an absolute spotless game and just put the pressure on that way. I do think he should be playing. He's better with his feet, and they're both good shot stoppers, but I think Alnwick probably nudges it slightly in that aspect as well. But he wants his guy. But Howarth, you'd think for a manager who wants to play possession-based football and he wants to look after the ball, wouldn't be happy with Howarth because he puts it out of play all the time or he gives it away all the time. So you'd think a manager who wants to keep hold of the ball wouldn't be happy with that. But for whatever reason, he wants his guy. Maybe on his first day, Alnwick nicked his parking space or something. So Paul said, remember me asking you about Howarth and Alnwick? Are you happy with the two? Would you gamble and look for another keeper like ex-Cardiff one player? So Tom Heaton, he's just signed a new contract with Man United, mate. Tom Heaton has. So I think we got two decent championship keepers. They're not amazing, but they're fairly experienced and solid. And then you've got a couple of sort of young keepers, one of which is highly rated, one of which has come in this summer. I don't know. I think a lone keeper is a waste because it gives you it gives you like a false sense of security. But that's me for this evening. I will give a more tactical breakdown of the game tomorrow night at 8 o'clock. It'll be pre-recorded because I'm driving to England tomorrow. But I appreciate you all for joining me. I appreciate you all for coming to give your opinion after the game. At the end of the day, it's a point, first point of the season. First half, not great. Or certainly the first half hour, not great. We grew into the game. We gave Swansea issues when we pressed and played with a bit of pace. What's that tell you what we need to do? I don't think Alnwick doesn't look shaky to me at all, like when he's played. But there's got to be a reason. I would love to get 5 minutes with Errol Bullock to ask him what his thinking is with the keepers, because I'd really like, for someone who wants to keep hold of the ball, I can't see why he picks him. Regardless of anything else, I just can't see, like, a coach who wants to keep hold of the ball and play from the back wants a keeper who's good with his feet. Well, Alnwick is much better with his feet. So why the Howarth thing? Strange. Plenty of positives to take from today. Plenty of positives to take from the game. Showed good character. Didn't give up. Didn't capitulate. Stuck together. And some big performances. Daland, NG, Siopis second half. Colwell, Robinson, Tanner, all excellent. So lots of positives to take. But let's hope the manager picks on form now for the next game. But make sure you subscribe to Cardiff City World. For your podcast in all audio form, you can get them via the Sports Social or on Apple, Spotify, everything. Cardiff City World's everywhere. And also, if you haven't already, check out the interview I did with Gavin Ray. It was out yesterday night. And give it a like, drop a comment, all that good stuff. Spread the word, tell your Cardiff friends. Cardiff City content 7 days a week, by the fans, for the fans. Let's go.